This is the Stop Playing podcast with Sham and Shaka. I'm Sham.
I'm Shaka. What's going on, Sham?
Nothing much. How are you? We had a little bit of a break, Easter and everything.
Yeah. I love doing this show, as we just talked about. Love everything about the show.
A very unbiased opinion here.
Yeah, pull job behind the curtain. Yeah, spoiler alert. I like the show and I like everything we do on it. We do nothing wrong ever. And y'all know that. Y'all should be surprised if me say that. And that's exactly what I just told Sham. It's so many words. But man, yeah, no, it's good. I told
you.
Well, I mean, that's what you told me I think about the show. And you're right. But anyway, yes, happy Easter. Happy, belated Easter to everyone.
Did you have a good Easter?
I did indeed. I mean, I didn't go anywhere near anybody's church, but
I don't go to church, so
yeah. I mean, so well, back in the day, right? Like, did you go to one of those churches that Easter and Christmas, like everybody came, right, and it would be filled? And I know my church was like this when I went to church with my grandmother. The pastor would like give everybody a guilt trip, like, "Oh, I see y'all know how to come to church on Christmas and Easter.
I feel
and y'all know best."
Huh? I feel him. I feel like
but he did that.
No, I feel like it's fraudulent. Like, you don't go to church all year, but you're gonna show up on Easter. What's that for the other 364 days? Like,
those are the two important days: the birth and basically the death and the resurrection. But no, I'm not just about that. But I'm saying the preacher would go on the crowd though. And then look, that's what cats be like, "Oh, if you're gonna be like that, then yeah, nah, you know what? I'll see you next year. I ain't coming back next week. You got an attitude."
I mean, I'm here for this pastor. He's calling out the fraudulence.
I bet you when that plate went around, he wanted everybody to put this. He want everybody to put their real dollars in their dummy. That's another conversation for another day, guys.
You know it. But people have asked me like every year, "So you going to church for Easter?" No, I don't go no other day. I'm not going on Easter. I'm not about to sit here and act like I'm not faking it for a day. I don't like to go to church. So, but this past Easter, my sister and I decided to do an impromptu Easter dinner at my home. And we pulled the parentals together, and then my grandparents, who have not been to my house since I bought it, they came over and were very happy to come. And
that's great.
It's so interesting because my grandmother, who anything that's bougie about me, I got from her. Like,
that's great.
Growing up, like since I was very small, she would pick me up. She would buy me a new dress. She would pick me up. We would go to symphony. We would go to plays. We'd go to operas, and we'd have our little granddaughter days. And she'd take me to the nicest restaurants, and we'd sit there. And she taught me all about etiquette, which forks to use, proper glasses. Whenever I come to her house, she was drinking everything out of a goblet. She even ate ice cream out of a goblet. Like everything was elevated. So when she came over, I was very like, she gonna say about this and that.
Yeah.
But she was very complimentary and proud.
That's great.
She loved
everything.
Impressed. She was. And I opened up my little cabinet with all my wine glasses, and she said, she just looked. And it was just really nice to have my grandparents over, because they don't go, since the pandemic, they both have gotten their vaccines, as I said previously. But everybody in the house was vaccinated, except for my dad. We hadn't taken him for his second shot yet. Yeah. I just took him this past Wednesday after.
Excellent.
But
it
was really nice to have them here and to see the pride in their eyes. So
that is
she kept
great.
asking me, "Did you make this yourself? Did you bake this pie or did you buy it?" No, I baked it from scratch.
Hey, you know what? You were saying that was her being impressed. If there had been any other answer, she, I don't know what she would have done, but you'd have known she wasn't impressed. I mean, we were talking last week about grandparents being able to see their grandchildren because they got vaccinated, and I stand by the fact that in terms of things you see on the news, that is really the best thing I like about vaccinations is when you have the elderly who have not been able to see their friends and family for, in many of their cases, literally a year because of this. And then they get to do stuff like that. So that's great. You and I didn't talk about this, but I'll talk about it now. A mutual friend of ours came in town last week for Easter. And I didn't tell you our communication. I think I told you a little bit. But he wanted to, the short version is he hit me in the middle of the week last week and was like, hey, I might be going to brunch on Sunday. And he was like, come through before I leave with all this. And I was like, I was kind of, still not trying to just be out there like that. But I did want to at least see him and say hello. So I was like, just keep me posted. And, it's been a while since I've seen you in person and blah, blah, blah. We'll figure it out. So then I hadn't heard from him. Well, I did, but not in that capacity. Friday, and he was like, yeah, I'll let you know. How about Saturday morning? I said, hey, man, listen, if that doesn't work, like maybe you can just come by and say hello, whatever. I'll meet you somewhere and say what's up and chop it up a little bit. He was like, yeah, that brunch thing. Yeah, tomorrow, Sunday's Easter. I completely didn't think about that. I was like, what do you mean you didn't think about that?
Yeah, brunch was double on Easter.
I was like, I thought that was the reason you were going out to brunch in the first place here, because you thought that all the brunch places, which they were open. And people were, and people were treating it like that. So it was just funny though. But this was all via text. So he hit me like he was giving me information. Sunday's Easter. And I was like, I know that.
Easter, folks, we talked about brunch on this show several times. Yeah. We are convinced that brunch is just a DC thing. But
it's taken to its biggest heights here.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
But on Easter, forget about it. It is the worst time to ever go to brunch in DC. Like, you need to make reservations weeks before. Like, you can't just pop up on a brunch in DC on Easter.
And you were coming out your pockets big time.
Right.
Yeah. You want to talk about bougie? It's a status thing. Yeah. To go out to brunch. And I think, Easter dinner and stuff is a big deal, but like here,
brunch is way bigger.
Brunch. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. No, that was just a funny anecdote. So
interestingly, I was not invited to this brunch, this phantom brunch.
Oh no, look, without going into details, this man had many shady plans throughout the entire weekend that I don't think he wanted to be anywhere near part of. Because even I didn't want to be a part of them. I was like, I'm gonna come say what's up to you and leave if it gets to that. Because you're all over the place. How about that? So anyway. Love that dude though. He's good. He's a good guy. But yeah. But beyond that, the biggest news, as we've been kind of talking about vaccinations, I got my second one this week as well, earlier this week. And you and I both have been keeping each other posted on, amongst others, but definitely each other, how we've been doing. So I got mine. Today is Friday the 9th, April the 9th. I got mine on the 6th, on Tuesday. So I got my second Pfizer. I got it in the afternoon at 4:00. And, I was told to expect by you and other people symptoms, more symptoms, if any, in the second one than the first one. I didn't really have any in the first one. And that turned out to be accurate. In the second one, I got it at 4:00. That first day, I had the soreness in my arm like I did the first time, but really nothing else after that. Overnight, the quote unquote, maybe feverish symptoms came. So that next day, Wednesday, I was just sluggish and tired. And I just attributed it as, you know what? Everyone's telling you you're going to be symptomatic. So that's your mind telling you that.
Like a hypochondriac?
Right. And I was like, don't be a hypochondriac. So I worked through the day, told myself I was fine, told everybody else I was fine. But I was tired all day. And then I went to sleep early Wednesday, woke up yesterday, Thursday. I mean, great. I was good. So that was the extent. It definitely, there's no question though. I felt a side effect or two, but I feel great in general. And I know more and more people's like a domino. I know more and more people get that first one, get the second one. You just talked about your people and yourself and everybody. I mean, so it's good to see it rolling. it's rolling still. There's still some horror stories though. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. And we were talking before, and I mentioned that I heard on the news how older people are not getting the side effects like younger people are. It's like the people that are immunocompromised are faring much better with the side effects and reactions of the vaccinations, whereas young people are like struggling because their immune systems are so great. It's kind of like fighting off the vaccine. It's weird, but
it's fighting more aggressively, and therefore it's causing your body, because that's what side effects are. That's what sickness is. Sickness really is your body trying to fight a foreign agent. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why people say when you get vaccinated and you start feeling stuff, that means that's an indicator your body is working. It's telling you something. It's to the extent for some people worse than others. And we'll talk about it. I know so that was really my week. I mean, this happened on Tuesday. So like Monday, I was just kind of like, even though I've been going ham about the vaccine, I was still kind of like, all right, let me get ready to do it. And I didn't want to be like laid out from it, because then I didn't want people who were kind of on the fence. There were people looking at me like, all right, Mr. Tough Guy, or Mr. like Loudmouth. If you go and you get laid out on it, like that might tip me to the other side. So I was nervous more so about that. But, and then the rest of the week was just kind of monitoring myself and making sure. So as with most of the weeks during the pandemic, it's been uneventful for me in that respect. That was the big event.
Yeah. Cool. Well, before we get into
find us?
Right.
I know this time.
All right, guys, if you're listening, thank you very much. Please tell a friend. Tell them to go to www.stopplayingpodcast.com. Scroll all the way to the bottom of the page. You'll find all of the podcast platforms we are available on, most notably Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. We're also on our iHeartRadio and our host, Podbean. You can catch us on social media at Facebook at the Stop Playing Podcast and Instagram at the Stop Playing Podcast. Also on Twitter at Stop_Playing_Pod. You can also visit us on our YouTube channel. And before we get into these stories, I want to welcome listeners from the Republic of Seychelles. That is a country in East Africa. We've gotten a spike in listenership from that area of the world. And we thank you and welcome.
I mean, welcome. And I would love to come there.
You want to go everywhere.
Everywhere we get listeners, that's to me an invitation. You have accepted our invitation to listen to us, and now I accept your invitation to visit you.
They didn't invite, though.
And East Africa, and my name's African. Let's go. But no, that's awesome. And I was going to also say on the interaction again, thank you guys. You guys are, man. You guys get, some of you guys are very spirited interactors, and that's great. And
that's what we want.
That's what we want. And you're gonna see our shining faces on some new ads coming at you as well. Sham, they're gonna see your beautiful smile.
It is great, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, she's doing it right now, like y'all can see it. So I guess she's doing that for me. But
you can see it.
Yeah, I can see it. So that's great. All right. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, look, we kind of we covered a lot about the vaccine. We're not just trying to go all over the place. I think the big general news is that it is really, really continuing to get out there. I think we set a record the other day. For what I heard, 4 million people across the country got vaccinated in one day, which was a record. And so Uncle Joe can be proud of this. His administration could be proud of this. I mean, they really put this into action. And I saw a report the other day that now, I guess you could call it criticism, but I don't see how it's criticism. He's facing questions about how he can help the rest of the world be this efficient because there are countries that need it. And it's like, okay. I mean, I'm for definitely, especially underdeveloped countries being helped, but let's not like jump the gun and forget that people here, i.e. DC, i.e. a lot of places, still can't get the vaccine when they want it. These were like outside groups.
I mean, and that's DC's fault because they doing stuff stupid.
Yes, they are.
And I meant to say that without the LY. Like they doing stuff stupid. I love an adverb around here, but no.
Yes.
Okay, so I get that. And I'm not, I'm not a fan of the tit for tat, but what these same countries wasn't even messing with us like a few months ago. Now they want us
we said it at the time. You get somebody who know what they're doing, and then we'll start working with y'all again.
Right.
Y'all our boy again. Y'all our
can't go to
again.
Europe. What you talking about?
Yeah, I know. Now listen, none of those countries better be trying to ban us and then asking for help. Like,
exactly.
What's up? Which one? Nah, I get it. Listen, I supported the ban, and when it happened, we were acting. We as a country, not we as people in it, but as a country, we were acting quite ignorant. We deserved that ban.
Oh yeah, and we did.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that, jokingly, and if I was one of those countries, I wouldn't let nobody from the U.S. in either.
Send us your resources, not your ignorant people.
Exactly. Send us the drugs.
Yeah, send us the drugs. Yeah, help us with the drugs. Give us the drugs. Now, speaking of drugs, you and I exchanged some stories or exchanged some notes on this. So listen, for the most part, the vaccine's been good. And we talked about this, Johnson & Johnson, not as a company, but their distribution centers in some places have had some hiccups. I think one in Baltimore.
Specifically in Maryland.
Yeah. But there was another one, actually. Somebody else sent me one too. So it's more so, I think, the places are having problems with shipments, but obviously it's their shipment, so it's giving them a bad name. So Moderna's doing fine. Pfizer, in my opinion, PR wise, and this is not just because I took it. I'm just saying, of the problems, quote unquote, I've heard the least about Pfizer. They might be just getting their good people out, and that's fine, but that's what I've heard. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about negative PR? If you're a board member of AstraZeneca, it is panic time.
Oh, it's done, son.
They got so many problems. I mean, we got a report that you and I shared. So this blood clot issue, that some people were having side effects that were causing blood clots, came up almost immediately at first, and then it was quote unquote debunked. They had to pull AstraZeneca initially. Was it from Great Britain? It was from one of those countries. When it first came out, they had to pull it. Then they recertified it like after a few days. Then it gets here. It's causing, they keep calling it quote unquote rare. But you hear the word blood clot? Nah, forget it. This is now 2 times where they've been associated with these type of side effects. They need to, I think you brought it to my attention that they rushed to get in this game in the first place and people had told them to slow down.
Yep.
Pull out.
They wanted to be first. They wanted to be, at the front of it, and it didn't work. I was having a conversation with my uncle about AstraZeneca like weeks ago, maybe even a couple months. And I guess this is when they were first talking about the blood clots. He was like, look, I'll take anything they got, but if they got AstraZeneca, I will wait. And he was like, I ain't trying to get no blood clots. And I mean, he was ahead of that before it even became like, a concrete story.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm with him. I mean, as ham as I've been going on this show about the vaccine, and then even more ham to my friends. Oh, I'll take it. Yeah. AstraZeneca might be the only one. I believe my exact words on the show was, well, if it's been tested and it's approved by, it doesn't matter which one. It matters if it's that one.
Dr. Fauci said we don't need it. Don't send that here. We're good.
Uncle Tony, that's his nice way of saying I don't vouch for it. So forget it. And that way, if you don't vouch, I'm not taking it.
Yeah.
So
I'm just glad I got Johnson & Johnson when I did, because stuff looking crazy.
I'm looking kind of crazy. But yeah, Johnson Johnson looks good. Yeah, you're right though. The fact that shipment was in Maryland was scary, because you had just gotten it not too long before that.
Yeah.
I was like, gotta be Maryland, don't it?
Didn't it? But look, they shut down in Georgia, Colorado, and North Carolina this past week because
I was about to say, I think I saw the one in North Carolina.
Yeah. Well, the thing in Maryland was a little different from what they're saying. So the people in those states have gotten like adverse side effects. But the Maryland thing was that, Johnson & Johnson had given Emergent Solutions I would say like the formula to make the vaccine, and they put in a wrong ingredient.
So they outsourced it in their name.
Right.
And then the people screwed it up, but it still tracks back to them.
Exactly. It's like, hey, Emergent, we're giving you authorization to create the vaccine. Here are the ingredients. And Emergent decided, or not even decided, well, maybe accidentally put in an ingredient that wasn't supposed to be in there. So they had to squash like 2 million doses.
That sucks. Yeah. Cause it's like no one's going to do that amount of digging. It's just always going to come back to J&J. And people were already, I'm not going to say skeptical. Some people like J&J more, like you take, because you only had to take one. But then even at the time, there were all these questions about why it was different. So you never want that.
Yeah, you don't have to put it in the refrigerator like you do with the other two. The basis on how it's made is completely different. It's a bunch of things. It's a bunch of things to like about it, but it's also a bunch of things to be like, I don't know. Yeah. But it's supposed to have the most rebound effect than the other two.
Correct. And you said that, you pointed that out initially, and I like that. Definitely. But the general vax news is good. And we are seeing the states open back up. It's going to happen. But all the experts are saying this is a mistake. We got baseball opening back up. We'll mention it, but it just opened. There's really nothing to mention except that the stadium crowds are there.
Only for the stadiums that actually get crowds.
Right. And I think that baseball will be a good indicator of people's, it's the sport, it's the summer sport. And people have not been out in that kind of capacity for a while. And I think you'll see reflected in that people's attitude towards it, which frankly, the citizens are treating this like the pandemic is over. It is not.
They've been doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Beyond. Yeah, you're right. But general good news. Now, bad news. We've had a couple of mass shootings, and there's been a lot of overlap and a lot of issues, so we can bundle them up like this. Sham, the NFL, if I'm Roger Goodell right now, I'm on the phone with some PR people. We have a couple of mass shootings we have an NFL player charged with murder, and we have a mass shooting from an NFL player that has all the signs of CTE. Attached to him.
That's immediate what I thought when they said he killed 5 people and shot himself.
Correct. So the player was CTE, and I had Adams. I had his name down, but he was in South Carolina. Actually, he used to play for the Raiders too. He played for like 5 teams though. Philip Adams. Yeah, I remember him too. He played for us. He played for a bunch of teams. The gist of it is that he shot a doctor. Now, this doctor had seen him. I don't know in what capacity. I don't know if it was his primary care, but at some point he had treated him. This doctor had been practicing for 40 years. He was married to his wife for 40 years. Yeah, he was like 70 years old. He shot the doctor, his wife. I don't know if there was a 39-year-old in the house. He didn't have the same name, so I don't know if that was their child, but their 2 grandchildren were in the house as well. 9 and 5 years old, shot them. And then they found him and he shot himself before he could be apprehended. So this has all the appearances of CTE.
Man, just shoot yourself.
Yeah, it's like who knows? It's just so many issues there. And then you lump that in with people like Javon Belcher. We talked about him a few years ago. And it's just like, okay, you have mental health, which nobody wants to deal with in terms of nobody of power wants to deal with. You have CTE in the NFL, which I will say, it's a mixed bag. The NFL, do they do enough about anything that they could? Probably not. But, when they try to put stuff in and then the players balk at it, and they get mad when they get fined and all this stuff. It's like, well, okay. But then when we get to this point, we have to look back and say, okay, well, we do need some kind of regulation or the sport has to go away. If you're not willing to ask these questions when this kind of stuff happens. So, but what's been born out of this, and then I forget who was charged with murder, but I had his name down. That was not a CTE. That looked like a street thing. But he was an ex-NFL player charged with murder earlier in the week. I think I taken the article down, but all these are shootings. And then we've had like multiple random shootings. I mean, mass quote unquote shootings, apparently the definition of a mass shooting, I didn't even know this, is anything over like 4 people. And we've had tons of those since the Georgia incident across the country. So all this is now brought to a head, gun control again. So this time, Uncle Joe, you know, we talked about President Obama and how he said his worst day in office was the mass shooting at the elementary school and how he failed to get gun control for that. Joe Biden was there for that. So instead of going through Congress, he still wants Congress to do something, but he made some executive actions about gun legislation. So then, of course, because they're executive actions and they're not members of Congress, or they're not an act of Congress, Greg Abbott, who should be like somewhere in a hole over his mishandling of Texas, the governor of Texas, tweets on a page, it shows all these people shooting and says, I want Texas to become a sanctuary state for the Second Amendment. That's his exact quote, based on the president's executive actions, because this is the state where people going to still be able to shoot. He does this like hours before all these most recent mass shootings.
Of course he does.
Greg Abbott, your timing couldn't be worse. Why are you still the governor after what you allowed to happen to Texas like a couple weeks ago? Why are you even still like out here talking?
It's the same dude who don't want to do the first pitch.
I knew you were gonna be on top of it. Yeah, like this is a string of stuff. Yeah, he don't want to do the first pitch because he don't like that MLB, and we'll talk about that. But MLB did what we said the NCAA was gonna do. Pulled the All-Star game out of Georgia, Shan. Yeah. So he's big man about that. And so he don't want to throw out the first pitch. You should be lucky to ask you. My question when I read it was like, why did I ask him to do it? He just let y'all freeze to death. Like, what are you doing? But
yeah, I swear, every time I think Florida is like, hold my beer, Texas is like, nah, I got this.
I got this. Nah, everybody sit down. But Sham, the one thing I like when we were just talking about Issa, now I'm moving on from gun control. Joe Biden, President Biden, doing his press conference when he was announcing he was going to do these executive actions, he said, every time we have a gun incident, everybody wants to give thoughts and prayers. He said, my friends across the aisle, I guarantee you they're giving thoughts and prayers. Enough thoughts, enough prayers. You need to do something. That's exactly, he said it just like that at the conference. He said, so I'm going to do this. It's not enough. What are you going to do? And I'm with it.
And you know what? I was expecting there to be a lot more opposition to this, especially on the other side of the aisle, but it hasn't been. And a lot of them have been saying, as long as it's like, you know, done the right way, and I guess in their eyes, they don't have no problem with this, which is very surprising.
Yeah, they're saying that it's executive action, so there's not much they can do, but he wants them to actually make legislation. They're not going to do that. So to your point, they're not going to jump out there and oppose him for, you know, stroking a pen. But people like Joe Manchin, who this man is going to be a problem, the quote unquote Democrat from West Virginia, he's like, I'm not supporting anything like that. He's basically a Republican in Democrats' clothing. And he is so powerful because he represents the quote unquote swing vote. I like what Uncle Joe did. He's not inviting him to any of the talks that he's having when he's trying to convince Republicans to, I'm not going to kiss your ass just because you claim to be a Democrat and you claim to be the swing vote. Do what you're supposed to do. So I like how Uncle Joe's carrying it. He's carrying on this and carrying on infrastructure. Infrastructure basically saying them, man putting down like 1.5 trillion. It's kind of like the stimulus. He's basically trying to rebuild the country. Everything but the wall. Like he's trying to rebuild bridges, all this stuff. So you know who's in charge of that, right? Mayor Pete.
Of course.
He's the transport secretary. He be just as happy to be on, like, meet the press. They be like, yo, how you feel about this? He's like, I'm real happy about it. Yeah, he like his new little job. I was like, all right.
Yeah, he likes the media. I was listening to an episode of Breakfast Club. He was on there again. When he was running, he came on the Breakfast Club a few times. And then afterwards, you know, he still likes to come on. He just likes to hear himself talk. And I like the spirit and some of the things that he talks about. So it's fun. He's cool.
Yeah. And it's a good role for him. I mean, you know, and it's something that listen, I like some of the stuff Uncle Joe be saying out here, man. He was like, look, Every time, how many infrastructure weeks have we had? Now that was a shot at 45, but it was this good one. He was like, I mean, we had like 5. He was like, we had multiple infrastructure weeks, and I don't see one bridge that's being built. Like, what's up? So let's get this going. Yeah, so good stuff. This is like substantive stuff. And Uncle Joe's like, look, man, I want to work with the Republicans, but yeah, I'm on the like, I will roll over them with my majority tip if they're not trying to move. Let's go. So that's really it with that. Now, the most fun political story of the week, Sham. One, Mr. Matt Gaetz. Have you been following this at all?
Nope. Let's go.
Here's the gist. Matt Gaetz, 45 surrogate, Florida man.
Of course.
Complete clown.
He has great hair, gotta say.
Yeah. He believes so. He acts and dresses and looks like a frat boy.
He does.
So a firestorm has been brewing around him. The initial charges were that he's been paying underage women for sex. Okay. He has an associate in Florida, the tax collector, which that sounds like a medieval, like you're walking around collecting gold from people. But he is the for real tax collector in Florida. He was indicted on sex trafficking, and this is like his boy. So beyond that, he's now cooperating this other guy. So Matt Gaetz is in a lot of hot water. They've now opened up a committee in Congress to investigate him, the ethics committee. Apparently, Sham, this man was walking around on the floors of Congress with his cell phone out. I'm telling you, man, he's a bro, for real, like a frat bro, showing other members of Congress pictures of chicks he slept with. Yeah, like on the floor. Now, who these other people were, they about to get in trouble too, because it's like he was doing that. Y'all ain't say nothing. But the more serious charges are the underage child solicitation, that he was flying them around places. Mm-hmm. Sham, none of this is
17-year-old girl.
Yes. They were taking trips. They were doing, he was buying them stuff. Sham, I hate to use the word funny with anything reported because that's a sick thing to do, but here's the funny part, his stupidity. Apparently his method of payment was he would give his boy the cash to sleep with these chicks, and then the dude would Venmo them.
Not Venmo.
The easiest paper trail in the whole world.
Sure.
He would give the dude $300, and then the dude would Venmo them $300 exactly, like it matched up.
Man, cash has been protecting people for years and years and years. This dude don't know that.
Hey, Sham, don't Venmo make you tell what you're doing? Why are you giving this person the money?
Exactly. You can't pass on the money unless you put in a description.
Matter of fact, I was in a fantasy football league a few years ago, and you couldn't even use the word fantasy football because Venmo would think you put fantasy in there. You're paying for something. You're paying for sex.
Exactly. This dude wasn't smart enough to use Zelle.
Yeah, Cass would be like, yo, don't say fantasy. Just say like football or something like that. So they don't think we're out here like doing something illegal. But yes, Venmo. That was my favorite part of the story. 45 was gonna defend him, but because he was an ardent defender of 45. I mean, anytime there was impeachments or anything, him, Jim Jordan, those would be the people screaming at other people.
Of course he would want to defend someone that grabs people by the pussy. Hello.
Right. But the grabber was told by his advisors, why don't you lead us alone? Yeah, because he's been noticeably silent. He finally released a statement the other day, like, he's a good guy. Like, let's let this play out. Basically, like, I believe.
I mean, say what you want about 45. I don't think anybody believes he would be attached to something like that.
Well, yeah, and I think the thing
he wouldn't want to be attached to something like that.
It's too sloppy. It's too sloppy.
Yeah.
And the thing about 45 is this too. Look, Gaetz doesn't deserve support, especially if it's true. But what he will learn is that 45 is a one-way street. Just because you're down for him doesn't mean he's going to be down for you.
It's all about me, Holmes.
Okay? Yeah. Oh, that sounds like a real bad situation. Oh, what you mean you stuck up for me? That's because I was innocent. I hope you are too. Yeah, see you later. Come to Mar-a-Lago when this clears up and not a day before.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, get out my face. And that's the 45 business. So we'll see what happens to him, but it couldn't happen to a worse dude. Can't wait. I hope he gets kicked out of office and put in jail, especially if it's true. But Matt Gaetz is a disgusting human being, so I'm not even going to hide my animus against him. I hope it's not true for the sake of a 17-year-old girl. But if it is true, throw his ass in jail and do not hesitate, period. Let's go. And finally, on a more serious note, Prince Philip passed away. So we were just talking about the royals a couple weeks ago, Sham.
Yep.
And when we were talking about Meghan and Harry's interview, we noted that he was in the hospital. He's been in the hospital for quite some time. Maybe, at least a month, if not more than that. So he was 99 years old. 99 years old.
He's about to turn 100 in June.
Yeah. His official title is the Duke of Edinburgh.
Edinburgh.
Obviously, also called the Royal Consort of Queen Elizabeth. They have been married since 47.
And they're cousins, second cousins.
Yeah. They were kind of the last hurrah of doing that kind of stuff in European monarchy, where it was better to try to keep it in the bloodlines, but they couldn't keep it too close because. Look, I actually saw a report. They said that a legacy of his was that obviously he was a rock for Queen Elizabeth, and they loved each other, had a good marriage, but that he had a reputation sometimes for being a little too blunt, and so he recognized that, and there will be times. I think this was more so early on, where he would say things that kind of would cause some ripples and some problems, but. Behind closed doors, man, I saw some specials about the royals when they were doing all that stuff lately on CNN, and he was hard on Charles, man. He was not like having it.
I'm convinced that they don't even like him. To be fair,
who don't like him? Charles? Like nobody likes him?
Like his parents.
Well, yeah,
Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth don't like him. Like,
they were like, Philip went to Philip sent Charles to the school he went to, and he was like, you're not tough enough, like, whatever. And they was just on his case.
I'm convinced that the reason why Queen Elizabeth has lived so long is because she's afraid that the monarchy will be left to Prince Charles. I wholeheartely believe that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll just go ahead and say it. I mean, I agree with you in the sense that it's clear. William carries himself like he is next in line.
Yeah, I think if she could skip Charles, William would be the next king of England.
Yeah, and I think that's been manifested the most by how he and his brother have split in that way. Because William sees himself as, all right, I have an obligation to steer the royal family in a certain direction. And even though he was close to his brother growing up, I think he reached a point where it's like, look, man, we're grown, and I'm going to do it this way, and you are going to do it this way. And I think, that's a very simplistic way to put it, but it seems like it's playing out that way. And Charles is kind of afterthought, which is why I was like, why is Charles causing all these problems with, what's his name? Harry and Meghan? It's like, come on, man. But anyway, this is about Philip. But yeah, rest in peace to him. It's just a sign of, man, 99. So Queen Elizabeth herself is what, 95? Something like that?
I think she's 93.
Yeah. So she's getting up there. Just goes to show, man, when you have that type of money and power, you have the best medical care. Like, that's a lot of this. That's what it's about, man. You just get all the medical care in the world. But,
I mean, just in Europe, food wise, like it's just healthy living over there. Like they don't have an FDA like we do that just be jamming crap down our throats.
Yeah, like what is the point of the FDA for real? When people say FDA approved, I'm like, I mean, so what?
It just means they'll just allow you to eat anything.
Right. Cheetos are FDA approved. Like, stop. Like, stop.
Oh, she's 94. I was close. But
okay. Yeah, you were very
I knew
close.
she wasn't as old as him.
Gotcha. But yeah, so, rest in power to him. Long life. Well-produced family and all that. So he got to live his dream. Now, that's all the world news we have for tape because look, we both put it on a good face, but we're both a little somber. I think we're all somber today. Prince Philip was one piece of news that broke like real early this morning. Mm-hmm. But the big RIP for us one Mr. Darkman X. Shan, what
Earl
was his legal?
Simmons.
Yep. One Mr. Earl Simmons passed away today after a long fight, almost a week-long fight. You know, Shan, I had sent you, or no, I didn't. When I was talking to you earlier, I was reading an article last night and I was like, okay, tomorrow when I get an update, I'm going to send it so we can talk about it. They were going to do a visual for him on Monday outside the hospital. Fans have been gathering outside his hospital. And the story I read was that, you know, they were going to test his brain functionality today. And then his mother was going to make the decision over the weekend whether to pull life support. So it was kind of a given that the story made it sound like he's hung on for this long in quote unquote a vegetative state. Mm-hmm. And so at least we'll be able to, you know, see over the weekend what the decision is and then go from there. And then he just passed away today. So it's very sad, man. DMX, you want to talk about part about childhood. That's it, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, I was probably in college when he first broke.
98. Yeah.
Yeah. I just remember listening to him for the first time and being like, yo, this dude's wow, but it's fun. And I mean, just the fact that his name, his DMX stood for Darkman X, he just was on this just journey of just you know, melancholiness and just sadness. He just always was just embattled with just things going on in his mind and obviously with the drugs. I mean, it was a long time that I was a fan of DMX before I even knew he was an addict. It just wasn't present for me. It just didn't seem like he was one. And then when you heard about the years and years and years that he had this addiction, it's yo, he was a literally a functioning drug addict. I don't know. I don't have any, I'm getting emotional right now. It's just very...
Well, I mean, for me, you know, I'm a little bit younger than you are, but I was in high school. It was my junior year of high school. And my music evolution through high school, we all know I'm a huge Pac fan. And so, you know, I mean, Pac's music kept coming out 3, 4, it still does. I mean, sort of. But the point being at that time, it was all right, well, you know, I like Biggie and all those people. Jay was out, but, you know, Hard Knock Life,
you know,
Hard Knock Life came out in 98 as well. So he kind of blew up at the same time Big DMX came out. And they did a lot of stuff together. That's been talked about lately.
But people won't realize this because of where Jay-Z is now. DMX was actually bigger than Jay-Z.
Yeah, there was, yes. I mean, especially at that moment because, again, 98 is when the casual person really knew who Jay-Z was. You know, you knew hip hop, you knew who he was, but he didn't blow up. Hard Knock Life, Volume 2 blew him up. It's the Hard Knock Life tour, the Def Jam tour and all that stuff. DMX was main guy on it. Money Cash Hoes on that track. Having DMX on there is what blew him up to casual people. And so I guess my point being though, DMX represented to me the first person since Pac at that time who I was man, okay, I could feel his energy through his rap. I could feel emotion and stuff he's talking about. And, you know, again, Biggie too, but a lot of people at the time were looking for people. It's kind of like how Jordan was after he retired, people oh, anyone that came out, they just wanted to compare. And DMX was able to withstand, to his credit, a lot of negative comparisons, oh, he's bald headed and he raps hardcore and stuff. So he's trying to be like Pac. And people were no, he's not. Just because they both are emotional, just because they both rap, they are completely different rappers, completely different styles. And people who liked Pac and was caught up in this East Coast, West Coast stuff, a lot of people just didn't like him because of that. And it's come on, man. Why don't you grow up? And he was good enough to get people out of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I never got that.
Yeah, trust me, I knew that. And then look, then he started acting and stuff like that. I mean, what do you think of Belly as a movie though?
That movie was trash.
Okay, Now, Belly is not going to ever be confused with Oscar winning material.
Mm-mm.
However, in everything DMX did, including Belly, he put his soul into that. DMX, you could say, oh, well, he was playing himself. Well, okay, but look at the character. Like, he's a real person, but he has a lot of issues going on inside of him. And, you know, when you heard him interviewed, when you see him in roles, when you see him in all that, he put it all on the table. In his albums, he put it all on the table. And there was a lot of pain and a lot of issues going on with him. But for him to be able to overcome that and still give you that good product. And then you and I talked about it earlier. Man, you want to talk about the verses. I mean, I think you would be able to express it best. What was it like to finally to be able to get that verses in light of this?
I still say, you know, that was the best verses that they had so far. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, look, Patty and Gladys, that was legendary. You know, Earth, Wind, and Fire and Ozzy Brothers, which we'll talk about later, also legendary. But as a vibe and just having a good time and just, you know, that Snoop DMX verses was phenomenal. It was to me, the best verses they did by far. And it is even more meaningful now that we got the opportunity to see it because DMX is no longer with us. And look, everything you said about him and how he came up in the rap game and all that kind of stuff and how he became famous. Again, only one other person has done what he did. DMX had 5 straight number 1. And the only reason why he didn't get the 6 was because he missed it by like 80,000, like less than 100,000 sales. Like that's how big DMX was when he was big. And I think it was either like, I want to say it was like either Eminem or like 50 or something that kept him from
probably
getting
Eminem
that.
Or 50 or
somebody like that.
Yeah.
But the music, like you said, I never got the Tupac thing. Like I never heard him and said, "Oh, he's just."
I think it was more of an image. It
was with the bandana around the head
and just these bald headed,
shirt off.
Exactly.
I get it. But I agree. If you're gonna compare him to anybody, it would be him because of the honesty and the groundedness of the lyrics. Like DMX wasn't out here talking about how much money he had and like the jewelry and the women. Like, I mean, in certain aspects, he did touch on some material things, but for the most part, every lyric was his life, something he was going through. Like, it was just so authentic and real. Like, I don't know, man. It's just, I mean,
even like his most, like, okay, what these bitches want, right? Like,
really,
I mean, on the surface, I mean, like, that's the misogynistic ass song and whatever. But I mean, it's an awesome song. And I remember, like, just little stuff, like little lines he put in, like, I remember when the nigga didn't have, when the nigga told a joke and the bitches didn't laugh. Like, that ain't about money.
No.
I mean, he's saying it is about money now, but what he's saying is, like, everybody can relate to that. Like, hey, man, when I was, like, just a regular dude, like, chicks weren't checking for me or whatever. And, like, he's the type of dude that can make a rhyme and it will sound good and all that and it'll be cool, but everybody can relate to it.
Yeah, it was real life.
And it was real life.
He was never out here fronting. I'll tell you that.
And then when he had problems, he didn't try to hide them. He was very honest. Man, 15 children. I didn't know it was that many. I knew it was a lot. I didn't know it was that many.
He was out here hoeing. That's for sure.
Yeah, he was not playing.
And he was married, like, which was like,
he was married for like 8 of them.
You had a whole wife.
Whole wife at home. Actually, the article I read said that obviously, I mean, I don't know. I think they were all still on good terms anyway, but because it's been a week since he's been in the hospital, they had all gathered around and not just the kids, but I'm saying like the his ex-wife and his mother and the mothers. So they've all kind of coalesced. But seeing him on, the part that breaks my heart the most out of all of this is, number one, 50 years old, way too young, smart man and all of that. But again, taken away from that versus, I remember saying, okay, I mean, he's gained weight and stuff, but it was like, I'm glad he's gained weight. You know what I'm saying? It was like, man, DMX, yeah, it's not healthy to be big, but man, he looks healthy compared to what had been happening.
Right.
And
you wanted him to be big because if he was skinny, you would think he was still on the,
And the way he was talking to Snoop, and he just seemed to be in a very peaceful place, in a very, he was like, yeah, man, I remember those times. And just the vibe that was between them, you like, man, DMX really seems to be in a good place. And then the verses, I agree with you. And I think a lot of people were like, yo, that's the one I made an appointment to see, and it paid off. And I really thought that was going to kind of be a rebirth of his career, or at minimum, the circumstances of his life. And so it's just really, really, really heartbreaking to hear that this happened. But one thing, Sham, I always got to bring smoke about something. Nothing about DMX, but it reminded me about Kobe. I really, really, really need people to stop reporting news when they don't know what they're talking about. We said it about Kobe, how people didn't know who was in the copter and all this stuff. People reporting DMX dead all week. I need people to stop that. If you don't know, why do you have to feel the need to post something on Facebook? So I'm not even talking about regular people, even though they need to stop that too. 2 people, a comedian, I forget her name, a friend of his, quote unquote, and another person posted hashtag RIP DMX in the middle of the week while this man was still alive. Where his manager had to come out and was like, okay, please stop posting that Earl Simmons, DMX is dead, that causes harm to his family when we're sitting here trying to make decisions and somebody's in the hospital. Why do people need to be the first to report something and then don't know what the hell they're talking about? Like, why? This is what we were doing with Kobe.
I feel like the reason why.
This is what we were doing with Kobe.
People just want attention.
You just want, you're going to chase clout over reporting somebody's death? You're not even sure?
A false report of somebody.
Yeah. What are you doing? Chill out. I mean, it's just like that just, I had to get that out because it's like, man, just, you're not even part of his family. Relax, stop. But that was the one thing that just irks me. Because it's like, man, now if it happens, I'm not even sure because there's so many false reports. And that's the other false. That's the other thing. And that makes it more painful for everyone involved. But rest in power, Tim. Did you like Romeo Must Die?
Yes. If we're gonna watch DMX movies, you need to watch Romeo Must Die, Cradle to the Grave, Exit Wounds. Belly is trash.
Sham. His performance is not trash. Now I'll say Nas can't act.
Everybody was trash.
Stick to rapping. Nas can stick to rapping. T-Boz can't act either.
None of them.
At all. No, DMX, look, he wasn't asked to do much.
Actually, Method Man was okay. But his
role, he was a clown in.
Exactly. I mean, but the only bona fide actress in that movie was Terrell Hicks.
Yeah.
And she wasn't even that great. So there you go.
I mean, I blame the director, Hype Williams, who treated it like an hour and a half music video. I blame
everyone. But
nah, DMX, he's fine, man. a very good friend of ours who I know is devastated by this. He and I used to basically do a sincere DMX bit, because I used to be like, yo, you're running through these red lights. I don't care about these red lights. And you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know, because he loves the DMX Christmas song.
Yeah. And I'll be like, yo, you're running red lights. What are you doing? But yeah. But yeah, definitely gonna miss him. Definitely gonna play some songs, man. That's a good thing. Got his music. Definitely got his music. Man, I mean, you want to talk about that intro to His Darkest Hella Side? I mean, he has all some days, but that is a hell of an intro, man. But anyway, yeah. We definitely lift him up, and then hopefully we'll see some news about a service, and that should be interesting. that's gonna be an event, most definitely. Yeah, because he crossed paths with a lot of people. All right, well, listen, on to some happy news. Shannon, what you watching?
So Supergirl has resumed, so I've been watching that. I've
still
learned
final season.
Yes, so
okay.
I'm tired of saying goodbye to things because I'm a little irritated. So we talked about Mom. We talked about Supergirl just being the last season. Superstore ended. That was over.
Yep.
Now I have learned that This Is Us is going to have one more season. So that's only going to be.
Talk about a cataclysmic event. What are all y'all going to cry to what day is that of the week? Tuesday?
First of all, I don't cry. I've cried one episode, and that was.
Well, then you were one of the few because everybody else posts. This I know This Is Us is on. They get on social media and post crying emojis.
Yeah, and I like to cry, but look, come on. No, one episode. The episode was called Memphis, and even my uncle told me he cried on that episode. So. Yeah,
I don't know if I want to cry every week. You didn't do it, but these people be crying every week. I don't understand it.
You wouldn't be crying every week either. So I don't even know why you even use that as a barometer.
It must be something sad in it. I don't know.
I think people exaggerate.
Yeah. But so Supergirl resumed. So are you happy with the episode?
Actually, I like this. I like where after the second episode, I like where this is going. I was a little about it because they took the break from Superman and Lois to insert the Supergirl episode. So I'm wondering if they'll like kind of have another crossover before it's over. That would be kind of cool. So I mentioned to you earlier that I was watching a documentary on Stars called The Black Full Monty. It's about a bunch of British Black strippers. I think the group is called the Chocolate Men. And the proprietors of the group, or the guys who created the group or whatever, they talk a lot about how the racial disparity over in England or just in Europe in general, how Black men are pretty much on the bottom of the totem pole unless they're naked. Yeah. And they become like the biggest thing in town.
Well, lay that out for our fans.
So they go through and they introduce us to a few of the men who are part of the Chocolate Men. And they talk about their personal lives, how they grew up and stuff. It's graphic. They do show things. But they talk about the preparation and what it's like to live over in England. They live in different subsects of, suburbs of the London area. And they go to these shows and they have what appears to be thousands of women there. I will probably say about 90% white. And, they're literally taking advantage of the fact that although they're at the bottom of the totem pole as far as everything else. They're at the top of it on that. And they are taking all these white women money.
Us Black men are apex predators in that sense. And they all fun. You're not treating it as fun and games, but they're treating it as fun and games. They're treating us like meat, like property. We're not valuable in society.
Nope.
We can't get a job. These guys, you say, can't get jobs. A lot of them laid off. And they treat them like nothing.
Yeah.
And,
but they hold them to the highest esteem when they're naked and they're jiggling their thing around in their faces. Yeah, because that's all they want to use them for. They're a walking dildo for them. That's and if they were to try to, they being the men would try to say something to them, it'd be like if a dildo was trying to talk to. Why are you talking to me? You know what your function is. And, it's good you bring that up because, a lot of guys, that's cool, this or that. Okay. Well, that gets old real quick though, fam. Like if a dude wants to actually like live his life and get a job and raise a family and be an important member of society, like what's that going to do? Yeah.
Right. It's just like, that's for someone like me, if I were to watch that, say, man, that's hard that's pretty much what women go through all the time when they see women get treated like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, you know, I can't be sitting up here getting on the soapbox. Better check that outrage real quick. That's been going on in the world for women for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
Oldest profession.
One guy actually, like, he hadn't like been an exotic dancer or stripper before, and he really didn't know the rules. And he let, you know, somebody do fellatio or whatever. And, you know, that kind of goes, you know, across the lines. Like, you dance and you let people kind of touch you, but you don't do any sexual acts.
Right.
And so they were going to suspend him for like 6 weeks. And when I tell you, this dude was on his knees begging and praying and pleading, like, I don't think you understand. Like, if I am suspended for this amount of time, like, that's my money. I can't feed my kids. I can't pay my bills. Like, because he ain't gonna be able to get no other job over there because that's the way they look at them.
Yeah, I'll be broke.
Yeah.
They got him, they got him on a string.
It was definitely thought provoking.
No, that's what it sounds like. No, you know, I like checking out, especially documentaries and stuff. Actually, I didn't tell you this earlier. I'm watching a documentary on QAnon on HBO. It just started, and it goes all the way back to the beginnings. So I haven't finished it yet, but back to what you were talking about. Documentaries, man, that's why I like them. They take you into something, again, on the surface. Oh, you know, I'm a male stripper. I get all this money. Yeah, okay. But if you treat it like nothing, like all strippers, just like female strippers, I mean, a lot of them know how to carry it in terms of they seem to be all right. But some of them, oh, yeah, I get all this money every night. But okay, but like every night, you know, it's a house of cards, just like a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, that sounds very interesting.
So one new show that I just started watching is called Home Economics.
Okay.
It comes on. It's a sitcom. Comes on ABC on Wednesday nights. I watched the first episodes. It has Topher Grace in it.
I've seen this commercials for it.
Yeah. I didn't know how it was gonna go. But so I said, yeah, I'll just give it a chance. You know, I'll give most shows a chance if they're even remotely funny. But I was very happy about the pilot because you know how pilots can be. Like, it started off very slow, but the dynamics between, so he's like the oldest child, and then there's a sister who's the middle child, and then there's a younger brother. The youngest has somehow become the most successful, and he doesn't seem to be the brightest, but financially he's like the most successful. And you know, Topher Grace's character is oldest. He's like this. He had a really good debut book. So he got famous off of that book. The second book didn't do so well. The sister is she's a lesbian, but she's also like a vegan, and she's also social conscious. Like, she's all of these feminists. She's like
hippie liberal.
Yeah, she's all these things. Yeah. And she basically hates both of her brothers, and she lost her job in the economy. So the oldest brother and her are both trying to get the younger brother to give them money or help them out in some way. And they're
they need him.
They need him, and they're so prideful about it. But then it turns out that the youngest brother isn't having the best life because his wife left him. So it's just a bunch of stuff. And their parents are ignorant, which is hilarious. But it actually turned out to be a very funny episode. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it.
That's great. Yeah, you know, Topher Grace. I like that 70s show. I didn't watch the entire thing, but no, he's funny. He's good for TV. And let me know how that goes. I can't promise I'll check that one out, but
so you will find this very interesting. So there's one scene where the sister and her wife are in the car, and she's like, "Oh, you know, your brothers, they're both Scorpios, blah blah." And then the sister goes, "Well, you know, I don't believe with that stuff." And her wife says, "Yeah, that's what a Capricorn would say."
Yeah, you were like, that will be a conversation with me and Shaka right now.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
It's definitely what a Capricorn would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was really cute that they were.
That is funny. A mutual friend of ours who we talked about on our show, you and her one time spent approximately 15 minutes just making me understand the difference between, like, what is it? the real sign and the moon sign or whatever.
Oh, the sun, the moon, and your ascendant.
Exactly. Yeah.
Moon, man, sun, moon, ascendant.
Family encyclopedic knowledge. I mean, they were dropping it like, oh yeah, nah, you were born on what day? Okay, all right.
What
so
time?
the position of the planets was such that your personality is X. And then I'd be like, no, it's not exactly. Okay. All right, sure. No problemo. But nah, that sounds interesting though. Anything that can break down a family dynamic and make it funny. I think that's sitcom gold. So if they can cultivate that formula and then grow out of it, I'm good with that. So I'm gonna jump one because I think I've seen it. You haven't? Have you checked out the new Law and Order so we can knock that out?
Dude, you know I don't watch Law and Order.
I know you don't. Oh, okay, you don't watch. Okay. You're right. You don't watch any of the franchise. So okay, I'll make this quick. Stabler returns. There've been 2 episodes.
I saw your post.
Yeah, no, it was good. yeah, I posted about it, y'all. And I don't post about shows that often, unless it's on HBO. Stabler returns. It's been 2 episodes of Law and Order, Organized Crime. They did the backdoor pilot. It was very good. The backdoor pilot was excellent. He hasn't been on SVU for 10 years, and he and Benson, Mariska Hargitay picked up right where they left off. It was basically like NBC, y'all are idiots. Y'all didn't, this was a contract dispute. Y'all should have just paid him. SVU, I don't know how it stayed on for 10 years. I immediately stopped watching SVU when Stabler went off. And I was like, if they had been like this, I would have kept watching it. So, Sham, I felt bad though on our last episode that the fan was going to hear. But there's this one. I definitely speculated. I was like, oh, they said a tragedy. Oh, okay. They probably killed his wife. That's exactly what they did. We were halfway joking about it. I was like, oh, they say a tragedy makes him come back and blah, blah. Sham. First scene shows Benson driving up to the scene of a car bomb. And they had the nerve not to even kill her right away. She survived like the entire episode. She was talking and all that. They thought she was going to get better. Then she just turned around and died at the end of the episode. And then they backdoored that into the pilot for him. So they've started it out. So that's how he's getting it. He's trying to figure out, or he pretty much knows at this point, but it's going to grow out of that. Like, you know, because they're going after him. So anyway, Sham, a couple quick notes on this that I think you'll appreciate. Dylan McDermott is in this, okay? From The Practice. His role, Sham. So Chaz Palminteri was like one of the big gangsters. And Elliot Stabler's character was in Italy. So it's a whole long story. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's fine. So he's back in New York, whatever. Chaz Palminteri's a gangster. He's fine. He's one of like old school mob families. Dylan McDermott is his son. He quote unquote is trying to go legit, but he's really not. Married to a black woman. That is integral in the plot. They have mixed children. One of them kind of reminds me of Jussie Smollett, like whatever. He just gives that vibe. But they play that up a lot in the episode too. But that's causing tension because in the Italian mafia, because it's organized crime. In the Italian mafia, like, come on, man. Like, you can't be married black people and have it like mixed kids. Get out of here. So Dylan McDermott like plays that up a lot. That's a big thing. And Dylan McDermott is like he's a bad guy. So like, and so it's the only significant thing about Stabler's new show is that unlike the other Law and Orders where they don't follow like a continuous plot stream, they just do procedure. It's a procedural and they just do different, issues every episode. This one, Dylan McDermott is a bad guy and they are following this. So it's different. It's the style is different. The open is the same. They still got the same type of music and all that kind of stuff, but it's made apparent from the beginning that this is not going to be like the rest of the Law and Order franchise where, he's just going to have a different case every week where he's solving it. No, it's not.
It's going to be more like a serial. It's
a serial. Correct. It's not a procedural. It's a serial. So his lieutenant's black. So they're taking some elements because, in Law and Order, the original lieutenant was black and she was no nonsense and stuff like that. This one is, but she's younger. She's kind of like, kind of cute. So, they play off each other, and they're bringing in the team and stuff like that. So it's very interesting, though. It's very good, in my opinion. Now, I think a lot of people who were expecting to have Elliot Stabler in a Law and Order show that was just like the other ones where he just solves a case every week. Well, first of all, organized crime doesn't really work like that. Most of them are like long stakeouts and stuff like that. So, I mean, I knew it was going to be different in some way, but they changed it up in a lot of ways. But they still are bringing, what's her name, Benson, they're crossing her over into the show too. So the speculation is that they're going to have a relationship. I do not want that. The time for that has passed. If they want to hook up, they should hook up. It would be tacky down for his wife to get killed and then hook up. I know what I said last week, but I don't want that. Yeah, so they're doing a good job of kind of avoiding that. So, but it's good. It's good. I'm in. It's every Thursday, so it won't interfere with your was it the Chicago whatever on Wednesdays, right? Chicago on Wednesday.
I mean, yeah, they moved Law and Order to Thursday.
Yeah, SVU. Yeah, because SVU sucks without them. And then they try to get everybody to watch SVU again this week, and it was like, well, Stabler ain't coming back there, so we'll wait till 10 o'clock when he comes on. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
I got enough stuff to watch on Thursdays.
I bet. So is This Is Us on Thursday?
No, it's Tuesday.
Oh, it's still Tuesday, right? Okay.
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are like the biggest nights in television. Mm-hmm. Like gotcha. I record literally, like I think Tuesday and Wednesday I record literally like 10 shows, and then on Thursday I probably record like 6 or 7. It's a lot because Top Chef just came back, and it comes on Thursdays, so I gotta watch that. Got you.
All right. Well, beyond that, now, quick footnote. Had you heard about this? Aaron Rodgers, Jeopardy host?
Yeah, I actually saw a little bit of it. He's hosting 2 weeks.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, so how was it? I didn't see it yet.
I mean, it's okay. He's not very charismatic. He's just very like kind of straight with it. But he's okay. I mean, he reads the cards and reads the stuff,
He's himself, because
he's
Aaron Rodgers is he's a dry person.
Yeah, he's absolutely himself. He's not, I mean, he can be charismatic in a sarcastic, sardonic kind of way.
Right.
But one guy was like on the Double Jeopardy, that was hilarious. The guy was like, what is who should have called the field goal, or who should have kicked the field goal, or something like that. That was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I feel like that made news, because they were like, yo, he got trolled a little bit. Mm-hmm. I find this interesting because you and I talked a lot about Alex Trebek and what they're doing with Jeopardy in general. So I like this. And then we've also talked about Aaron Rodgers, obviously a lot about football. He's very dry. He's very sardonic. He's good in the State Farm commercials. I think that he's shown just in his career, quote unquote, in the spotlight, that he's willing to think outside the box. We talked about him. He was interested in Game of Thrones, and he just was like, look, put me in there for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
The thing I found interesting, even though I haven't seen the show yet, I read an article about how hard he prepared for this. Mm-hmm. And I mean, he was really like nervous and was really into this. And they said that he went to the producers and was really like running through it. It was like he was practicing like he would be preparing for a game, that kind of thing. So I just think it's cool that he put that much investment in it. It wasn't just some kind of like, hey, you want to have me as a host? I'll just show up. Nah, he's taking it seriously. Yeah, so he's probably nervous, really.
Yeah, I think when you're dealing with athletes, you do get that. Because of how they prepare for their jobs. Mm-hmm. I think they carry that over into other things, specifically, the methodical ones. Like I feel like when you're a quarterback, it's a little different. Yeah. And I feel like they carry that over into other things, because when they are so at such a level in what they do, they don't ever want to appear to suck.
Subpar, yeah.
Or be subpar, And also, wasn't Aaron Rodgers like a champion, like a Celebrity Jeopardy champion? Yes. So, I mean, it fits. It fits.
Yeah, this was a quote unquote dream of his to do this. So, this is cool, nice little story. So you alluded to a versus. I did not see this versus, Sam. Confession.
I actually, I talked about it like big time on here when I heard about it, because I'm like Team Earth, Wind & Fire, and I totally forgot about it. And I think it was because it was Easter. I did. It was Easter. Wow. I had my family over. I was just kind of relishing that. And then like, we were cleaning up after all the food and everybody left. And I just totally forgot. And my dad, who usually goes to sleep very early, stayed at my house till like 10 o'clock to watch a Lifetime movie, which was random. So it just never, I just missed it. So I went to YouTube because for some reason, this Versus is not on Instagram or Apple TV. Like it can't be rewatched. I don't know if there's like some licensing issues or something, but normally they keep them in Instagram videos so you can watch them later. So there's been like some YouTubers that have put it up. Some have been taken down and then like, more people put it up. So I've seen like about half of it on YouTube. And I gotta say it was a struggle because Steve Harvey just talks so daggone much.
Oh, was he like moderating it?
He was the host.
Oh, yeah. Man, I respect Steve Harvey's grind. I've gotten to the point where it's like, man, how can you not respect his grind? But you can't get to that level without being in love. And this is from someone who's in love with the sound of his own voice. But like, yeah, he loves to hear himself talk.
Yeah. He does. But music-wise, look. What can you say about that? They're both legendary. I like that they had like a soundstage sort of setup. D-Nice was the DJ, so that was very nice to have him there.
That is good. Correct.
So they had instruments and they had microphones. So sometimes, when Earth, Wind & Fire did their song, they would get up and sing, except for the ones where Maurice White led. They just sat down and let that roll. But when Philip Bailey led, he got up and sang. The Isley Brothers got up and sang a couple times. And it was one part when Steve Harvey was like, okay, enough of this cool stuff. I want to hear some sex songs. But Earth, Wind & Fire didn't really have sex songs.
Yeah. There's a love song.
Yeah. Isley Brothers, that's a little different.
Oh, yeah.
They had some sex
don't worry
songs.
about that. Yeah, they got that for you.
But everybody was kind of like, had Sugar Daddy vibes with Ron Isley because he had, the whole beard thing. Like everybody was coming somehow.
I saw a bunch of
memes. Zaddy.
I saw a bunch of social media stuff on Facebook.
That don't even look like him. Who is that? That's Ron Isley.
Yeah.
But the facial hair is kind of what threw me off because it didn't look like him to me. But then I went down the rabbit hole and saw some other images and I was like, okay, yeah, that is him.
Ron Isley is always told off the vibe, like, I'll be a sugar daddy, like whatever. Like they bring him 20, 30, whatever. I could be 60, 70, I don't care. But yeah, from everything I heard though, from the people who did hear it live, they were pleased. Like I didn't hear any issues and stuff. So that's good, man. Bands of that magnitude, that just shows how big a deal Versus is to get that kind of thing going. So good stuff. Hopefully you'll be able to capture the whole thing in its entirety at some point and enjoy it like you want.
Yeah, I'm going to check back on Apple TV and see if they put it up or whatever, but...
Word. Well, that's good. That was a good way to start the week. DMX was the cloud that has come over the week, so we'll remember him. And hopefully move on after that. Find a way to keep ourselves entertained. Shan, what's up?
You have such an issue with the Falcon and Winter Soldier. I cannot wait to hear what your problem is with this.
Look. Okay. I want to say a couple things. I'm only on, I have not watched episode 1 or episode 4. Yeah. Today is Friday. It just came out today, April 9th. So that's episode 4. According to you, and probably to the fans, once they even hear this, they'll agree with you. You were saying what now about this episode that just came out today?
Oh, this is the best episode yet.
But you said it by far, like hands down.
By far, hands down, it's the best episode.
Okay. Now, why was it the best episode? Yeah, no spoilers, just like you gave me, because you didn't spoil it earlier. You just gave me general facts.
All I said was that I just love to see Bucky beat people up.
Yeah, you said action. It was a lot of action. All right. So we're putting that in the bag. So everyone, all my little smoke is for what I've seen up to this point. You guys have already heard my smoke in the first 2 episodes. Fine. Now, Sam, you were right about a couple things. And you know, I wasn't going to challenge you because it was obvious that you were going to be right. They did revisit the issue with the sister and the loan. But they did it in a way that was so annoying that I almost wish they hadn't done it. Okay, so let's start there. Okay, so Sam and, you know, Bucky and my other smoke is the fact that homeboy, they even released him. Bucky's plan is dumb, in my opinion, or not dumb in the sense of, oh, well, we need to release him to figure out what's that. That man killed T'Chaka. This is not acceptable. Sam raised the good arguments that, like, the people of Wakanda, no. Now, granted, this will probably be addressed in 4, so maybe my arguments are, like, outdated. But even at the time, I'm like, I need this really justified. But whatever. Fine. They have this meeting, they do this undercover thing. Sham, I am really starting to doubt the legitimacy of what they're doing with Falcon. The man can't get a loan, and now all of a sudden, I mean, he's incompetent. You walk into a meeting undercover and you leave your phone on vibrate? Like, what are you doing, fam?
Yeah, that part irritated me. And even when the quote unquote power broker or whoever she was supposed to be asked him to talk, I mean, he had to have a full conversation. All he had to do was say, hey, I'm in a meeting, let me call you back, and hang up.
Hang the phone up. And Falcon, you ain't never heard of silent?
Yeah.
You don't check your phone?
My phone stays on silent.
I know it seems like I dwell on these little things, but it's like, yo, they're really like making Falcon out here just looking just crazy.
Yeah, no, that irritated me too. Because I am a habitual phone silencer. I don't even vibrate. If I'm not looking at my phone, I don't know that it rings. I just don't.
I'm paranoid about a phone going off in a meeting. I work a desk job, a white collar job, a Zoom job, whatever you want to call it. I damn sure am not a superhero walking undercover into a meeting in life or death situations. My phone is on silent, if not off. Because maybe there's not a phone call that's more important than what I'm doing at the moment. That just little stuff like that. It's like, why?
I actually forgot about that until you brought it up. But yeah, I remember at the time I was like, what the fuck?
and then it's like, it is ironically, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, it's for the one issue I asked to be raised again because I was making such a big deal. Like, why did they bring it up the thing about the loan? What's going on with the loan? Oh, this is how they choose to bring it up, where he just happens to pick up this call in the middle of this very important meeting. And then I like how they're talking around it. And it's like, that's not even a real conversation. Why are you talking like this? I'm calling you about the loan for the boat. What do you mean? That's what she should be saying. Little stuff like that bothers me. Like, it's and, you know, we're trying to establish Falcon as like this, you know, main character, whatever. But you know what? Though the 2 things that bothered me the most was that and them letting the guy go. In terms of the action in general, in terms of the power broker and all that, they're moving the plot. You've watched through 4, so now I mean we're almost at the end of this thing. I mean, next week will be the penultimate episode. I will catch up, if not tonight, probably tomorrow. I'll catch up with the 4th episode. I'll probably be very impressed and be like, yo, Shan, let's re-record the podcast. And so I can say I'm sorry about all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? You know,
I don't see you apologizing.
And look, Shan knows out. Or, yeah, she'll be like, yeah, you want to re-record that segment? Like 15 minutes. So
no.
if y'all hear this, then that means I wasn't impressed. No, I'm joking. I always like my opinions out there. That's fine. And I know for a fact, all my little complaints aside, I like to blow up my complaints. They have done, Marvel continues to do a good job. I'll be frank, though. I'm not enjoying this as much as I did WandaVision, nor really, I think more so, I'm not enjoying this as much as I thought I would. I think my expectations for this show may have been too high. Sham, you actually gave me, if you don't mind sharing, an interesting theory on what the direction of the show will be, because I'm all that you planted the seed in my head just by saying that, and I'm giving some credence to that. So, what's your theory on and for the listeners in terms of what they're doing with this show, as opposed to what the initial thought may have been?
Oh, my theory is that this is going to be a series. It's not going to be like a one and done like WandaVision, because WandaVision, that whole arc leads into the next film that she's in with Doctor Strange. Whereas Bucky and the Falcon, there are no plans for them to be in another film as far as we know. So I think by this building up so slowly, like with WandaVision, it was just boom, boom, boom. You had to pack a lot in. I just kind of feel like they're leaving room for there to be another season of this. But again,
even though they haven't overtly promised that, actually, I thought, I'm not going to say they overtly said it will be one, but I thought they were putting out the vibe that it will be a one and done. But you're thinking
maybe
they haven't committed to that.
I think maybe you could turn this into a series as opposed to WandaVision, which was more like a bridge to another film.
Got it.
But again, this is just theorizing. I don't know. But it would make sense if they kept this going with them too.
I think we could both still agree Captain America is still trash.
Yes, but you will learn a lot more about him in episode 4.
All right. Well, through number 3, I was like, man, Shannon's right. God's trash.
Yeah, he's trash.
Actually, one note, because my friend Craig pointed this out again. He's probably the guy you want to talk Marvel with. Actually, immediately when we saw the chick who was supposed to be the power broker, his first thing was, "Wait a minute, they didn't take care of that and clear a name? Like what?" He was like outraged. As outraged as I was about the load and everything else, he was like, "Come on, man! Like, come on, Cap! Come on!" Like,
oh yeah, Sharon should have been cleared.
He was like, "What's she doing still running around? Like,
right? Like, why is she?
This is awful."
Yeah, that was crazy.
And he was like, even at the end, he was like, "I can't believe they didn't clear. Like, you can't uncheck that box like before settling everything else. Like, stop."
And honestly, all she did was get the shield and the wings. Like, she didn't do anything else, which we didn't even see, by the way. It just sort of happened. But yeah, I didn't even realize she was the one that did that. I just thought, Tony had the shield, and I didn't, but whatever.
And here's my last smoke, and this is actually smoke I have for many shows like this. Titans have this other problem. Falcon and Bucky. Well, Bucky, I mean, his quote unquote uniform is really his arm and stuff. But what, Sam? Why are you walking into that meeting with your cell phone on and without your uniform? Because that meeting, I understood the first meeting where he was being undercover pretending to be somebody else. But the meeting at the, like, I guess, whatever you want to call it, warehouse, the dock, whatever, in the third one, he's just walking in there willy-nilly without his uniform.
Oh, when they were looking for the serum?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and again, I have this complaint with a lot of shows. Titans did this. It's like, y'all are just going places without your uniform, but still acting like superheroes. Like Batman, unless he has a specific function as Bruce Wayne, is not going to just walk into, a situation without a suit. And it's too much of that. It's like, that makes no sense.
Hey, man, you got a super soldier right to the left. So, you're good.
Okay. Well, wouldn't it increase your odds to also have your bulletproof wings?
Nah, Bucky can do it.
Hey, look, unless we can't expose them wings to that much. I'm telling you, man, they need to do something about the wings. Maybe somebody was like, look, let's take an episode off and work on that. And then we could bring it back. Hopefully they brought it back in full looking better.
Yo, they already took out Red Wing. Come on now.
Yeah. That looked like, I said Toys R Us last time. It looked like a middle school play put that together. Like, you pat your daughter on the head like, hey, you did a good job though. But anyway. But we'll continue to look. I like to nitpick sometimes, man. You know me. Anyway,
you ready to get into some sports?
Always. Let's get into some sports. All right, wrap up time. So last time we taped, we were on the cusp of Michigan losing,
and then they promptly lost after I said, "Oh, I hope they win."
Yeah, but we hope they win. But then we both were like,
Yeah, at the end of it. Because I definitely like don't like Michigan, but
yeah. But some news: Juwan Howard, Coach of the Year.
Appropriate.
Yeah, appropriate. I think we talked that up. But you know, big winners. Not Gonzaga. Shoot, big losers.
Yeah.
Man, who won the national championship?
Baylor.
Baylor, thank you.
And convincingly.
Y'all mopped them.
So it basically kind of corroborated my point about Baylor. I mean, about Gonzaga. I kind of felt like whoever they played in the championship was gonna run them.
Be the bus.
Like I didn't think they were gonna win.
Yeah.
And it was great because they were supposed to play each other early in the season and they didn't get to because of COVID, outbreak or whatever. So they got the game. Everybody got the game that they wanted. And Baylor just showed out. On the women's side, it was an all Pac-12 championship. So Stanford and Arizona played, and Stanford won the women's national championship by 1 point.
That was great.
And they had won the Final Four game they played by 1.2. Like, so Stanford was just like edging folks. So yeah, that's the wrap up on the NCAA tournament. I always say this. I hate when they cry when they lose.
Like the kids?
Yes. You don't cry when you lose. You cry when you win.
Hey Sam, I'm gonna just go ahead and let you give your take and inform me and the listeners why you hate that.
Because I just feel like you cry when you win. Like you cry when you lose, you look like a sore loser. I mean, that's just how I was always kind of taught. Like whenever I lost, and I played organized sports, I didn't cry. Like I always looked at it as like, okay, I lost today. I suck it up and congratulate the other team. And, maybe a little later I might be a little emotional about it. But I always kind of felt like crying is reserved for people who win, happy tears. But the whole looking like a whole sad sack after you lose, it just looks bad.
Savagery alert.
That's just how I've always been with that.
Yeah, I guess the other side of that coin is put a lot of work into trying to get that victory, and that the crying is an expression of their disappointment at minimum of not achieving their goal. I mean, shoot, professionals cry. I mean, you see it more with the college kids. Now, I think, especially for like seniors and stuff. I mean, so think about some of the stuff you just said, like, okay, well, you're disappointed you lose, but you come back and do it. Well, for some of them, at least on that level, this is it. You're not gonna. So, if you're a senior and you pretty much know, okay, I might do some rec stuff maybe, but I'm not playing basketball, football, whatever at this level. This was my shot. Or if you think that, you know what, we did not play well today, but we were capable of winning, and now we've blown our shot, and it's just like a huge hole taken out. I mean, y'all should see Sham's look. Like none of this is making a dent. Nah. So I'm gonna stop being these people lawyer. I guess they all just simps, huh? Okay. Yikes. Well, I'll remember that when I see these college kids. Hey, again, I know we brought up Kobe. I remember specifically Kobe crying when the Lakers didn't get their 4-peat, when San Antonio beat them in the playoffs. He was crying on the bench. Like, he wasn't like weeping, but he was definitely crying. I remember that. And I remember thinking to myself, bruh, like, what are you doing? Well, he's a competitor. I was hoping that example would maybe turn you around. Like, he's a competitor.
Dude, you already won 3. Get out of here.
Now, one thing, I never remember Jordan crying. At least to your point, not sad tears. I remember him crying happy tears. You're right. Like he cried when he won after his dad died, stuff like that. But no, I remember Jordan crying like for losing. No, hey, maybe something there. I don't remember LeBron crying either. He done lost so much though. I mean, he'd be dehydrated by that. No, I'm saying, that's something. I have these moments where I'll be disrespecting LeBron James. Yeah, that was too easy though. That was too easy. He done lost like 8 times.
It's like second hat. He's good.
It's like, I'll be back next year. Whatever. That's a for real. Like, I'll be back next year. Like, shit. Like, no cap. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think back to my playing days. I think the only time I did cry was when we won. We won the championship.
Okay. Well, hey, as you have told me sometimes, everybody moves differently, don't they? But all right. Well, look, we got a part 2. I like this part 2 because it's a very short addendum. We talked about this. Okay. Actually, I'll say this. This is really just an addendum because nothing new, no new actions happened. The reaction kept happening. So Megan Rapinoe didn't just leave it on social media when she clapped at Draymond. She went to some event. So we talked about last week how, Draymond tried to jump into the intellectual pool and talk about revenue and what female athletes need to do to push for equal pay. And long story short, he basically stepped in it a little bit. Megan Rapinoe clapped at him. What's my girl's name? Maria Taylor clapped at. Yeah, she clapped at him. A bunch of people clapped at him on Facebook. After that, though, Megan Rapinoe then went to an event and spoke and brought that up again. Megan Rapinoe, I've now come to realize she's not having
it. No, she's never had it.
Yeah, and once something starts with her, it don't stop. Mm-mm. That's why she did that to the French in the World Cup. Like, beef don't stop with her. Yeah, beef don't stop with her. Period. Like, it's done. Because she, I like the quote. She said Draymond showed his whole ass. She sounded like one of us talking. That was an exact quote. Showed his whole ass.
Obviously, you kind of showed your whole ass. I love it.
It's like, wow, man. I'm a little surprised Draymond must, at minimum, got some advisors around him because his natural instinct would have been to clap back. But somebody around him was like, some fights you just don't want to get in. You stepped in this on your own, and what you don't want to do is start going back and forth with female athletes about something you were wrong about. Just go ahead and suck it up and move on.
Yeah. No, the whole quote was that he's not even understanding that we talk about this all the time, whether it's WNBA players or us here on the national team, and you tag the wrong people. You don't think we have asked for more funding? What are we screaming about nonstop? Like, don't come in here trying to tell us what we're not doing. Yeah. She let him. But it's true because guess what? The men don't have to ask for the things that they want. They just get it. People just give it to them because they think they're deserving of it. Like, yes, they have, a players association and things like that, but people already feel like they deserve a certain thing. So they just give it to them. And I feel like, okay, individually, they may have to negotiate things that they want and all that type of stuff. But the foundation is already there for them to have it.
And, again, Megan Rapinoe's point, Draymond Green's original point started with the revenue share. And she was like, yeah, the revenue share, if you look at the television money, now we're talking about her sport. She was like, I mean, we got the television money more than the men. So if we're talking about revenue share, where's our money?
Oh, yeah. And they're watching way more women's soccer in the U.S.
Yeah. And she's like, but I'm not even going to put it there because there's steps that have to be taken to elevate every woman's sport so that it's not just about that. You have to elevate your sport. And we talked about this to even get to that point where people want to watch it. Draymond Green tried to say that, but you're putting the onus on the wrong people. The people who are making the money from the sport, i.e. the producers, the owners of the team, it's their job to put the sport out there and make sure that the people playing it get compensated. So anyway, but yeah, she clapped. I just like that she kept going.
I just like that she's clapping at him because, I can't stand this clown.
Oh, me neither. Yeah. And actually, my Wizards are playing Golden State as we speak. So I hope we can squeeze out some kind of win there because, it's hard for us.
Well, you were winning. Now they have taken the lead.
Yeah, I know. That's usually how it goes with us. So I'm glad we have a little chuckle. Sham, we'll have to keep spending a ton of time, but stuff does change with this, and it's a major story. Deshaun Watson. So, newest, a couple new things. Number one, we were talking about it. The inordinate amount of energy this man has for massages has manifested itself in two ways that both ways I just find like whatever. After this was last week, his lawyer, Rusty Hardin, comes out. So 21, the number's gotten up to 22, I believe now. 22 masseuse, female masseuses have come out against him. His lawyer decides, hey, you know what? We have 18 masseuses that speak on his behalf. Okay. I don't know how good that is. What you're telling me, fam, is that we got 39 different masseuses, half of which say one thing, half of which say another. Why are you getting so many different people? Like, stop. How is that good? Like, how? Now, if it was 18 of those other 22 that you had contradictory statements from, 22 would still be a lot, but good gracious, now we're up to 40. I mean, what are we talking about?
Well, I don't know. Well, he admitted to having sex with some of them.
That was last week. Now he's admitted to having sex. He didn't say that before, but it was consensual.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Deshaun Watson. Hey, listen, man, you get a happy ending anytime you want. You do. Y'all here arranging your own happy endings. I clown Bob Kraft for this. Where are y'all people at? Y'all have entirely too much money. Why are you going through jumping through all these hoops to just basically, have sex with like either a masseuse or why don't you just get an escort and be done with it? Have her massage you. Like, what are you doing? It's just it's an awful thing. He's lost a ton of endorsements, so everybody's walking away from him.
That's typical.
Yeah.
When you sent me the article about Nike,
I
was like, okay, that's typical Nike. But I was just going to say that normally they do it a lot sooner. I think they were trying to wait it out to see what was going to happen before they did it. But
yeah,
they did. So. But a judge ordered that for the women, because they've been most of them have been filing under Jane Doe.
Mm-hmm.
But a judge ordered that 4 of them have to release their actual names.
Right.
Which
so that was considered a victory, right? For
right.
him.
And look, you're not like children. You're not kids.
Yeah.
You're grown ass women filing a lawsuit. Like, why does your name have to be protected?
Correct.
I don't understand that.
You want to get that money, and again, you're doing this for money.
Right.
See, we're not even talking about the criminal aspect of it. A rape victim should be okay. Well, you're trying to get money. This is a lawsuit. Yeah, you can't just slide in on the humble. No, let's bring it out and open. But that was considered a victory. But then that preceded the fact that he admitted he had sex with him. And look, at the end of the day, I mean, it just contradicted slightly. I think at the beginning, he didn't really acknowledge yes or no whether he had sex with him or not. But it clearly goes beyond just, I needed a massage. All right, well, nah. I mean, you want us more than that.
Well, maybe they didn't ask him.
Who didn't ask him?
Whoever.
Oh, did you have sex with him?
Yeah, maybe they didn't ask him until now. So,
well,
you're not supposed to give any information that no one asked you.
Now, the interesting thing to your point, if we're talking about how these are, everyone is bashing the attorneys from both sides because they're like, yo, y'all are spending more time having press conferences and telling that than y'all are like in depositions in the courtroom. Like, y'all are completely playing this out media. And
they got paralegals and associates for that. They're good.
But they should be not. They should not even be like revealing stuff every day. They're having like daily press conferences. It's like, stop. Just go ahead and resolve this. Especially if I was him, I was like, Rusty Hardin, man, look, issue a statement. That's fine. But we should be the ones telling him that he's chasing clout out here. We can't just be out here. I know I'm the same guy that's like denied. He's already done that. So now let's play this out. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, but it's sad though. He's not out. He'll play in the NFL unless like he goes to jail or something. But his image is not going to bounce back from this because he's black.
I don't know where he's going to play. He don't want to play in Houston, and they won't trade him.
I mean, they should trade him now if they. Well, I don't know.
They got no offers.
Yeah, I guess not. Raiders ain't offering. We got us QB situation. Y'all are straight. Y'all got Joe Flacco. Yeah. Yeah, hey, look, the draft coming up in a couple weeks. That's the NFL is pretty much dead. I mean, there've been a couple things, but NFL is pretty much dead. We'll ramp up for the draft. So really, I mean, round us out. MLB just started, nothing big there. How y'all doing? Doing all right?
I don't know what they did today, but they swept the Red Sox and then they lost 2 games to the Yankees. So they were like 4-3. And then I think they lost to the Red Sox last night. So I don't know what they did today. Yeah. But opening day was like a beautiful day yesterday. I saw some of it on the news. I'm not about to be out there.
Oh, no.
But I wouldn't even go to opening day in a regular year. So
you wouldn't?
No, I just don't like being around that many people.
No, okay. I like baseball games. So I haven't been to an opening day. I don't think ever. But Nationals are not good right now. We're like 1-4. And we had COVID. The COVID outbreak, so we couldn't even start our season opening day.
Oh, y'all lost 1-0 today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we lost again. We're like 1-3, 1-4, one of those. So yeah.
So the O's didn't play the game. So they had their opening, but then I guess today they had a break and then they played tomorrow. That's weird. That's weird.
Anything weird, I blame COVID.
I broke it up a day.
Anything weird, I blame COVID. And then NBA winding down, Shan, we about to get to the playoffs, man.
Seems a little fast. It's April.
They're normally in April.
I thought they're normally in May.
And it normally starts late April. Now, I mean, it probably is going to start a little bit later this year, actually, because we got about 20 games left. But they're making them play like every other day. So actually, some people only got like 15 games left. So it'll probably be early part of May this year, but normally it's like late April. Yeah, so I think they stretched them out at first because of COVID. But they're trying to squeeze in it. Because like I said, gotta get it in before the Olympics.
Yo, I would, if I was like playing like professional basketball right now, I would trip Steph Curry every chance I got.
Why?
It's annoying. You know what else is annoying? Because I'm watching this Wizards Warriors game.
Yeah.
Didn't they move to San Francisco?
Santa Clara, maybe, yeah, basically, yeah.
Why the hell do they have a big ass Oakland across the middle of the court? Like, y'all not even in Oakland.
Actually, I'm not sure about that. Let me take a step back. I think in general they still represent Oakland. Like,
I don't care what you represent. You ain't in Oakland. You went the town over. And you know what? I've read. I'm
not sure about that.
Oakland residents are not. They're not like feeling it either. Like, yo.
Oh, okay. Well, you are sure about that. Okay. Well, I think. I mean, you know, it's like
no, they did move. They're not in Oakland anymore.
I knew they moved. I didn't know they moved to San Francisco. But I mean, hey, it's like Washington team here out in Lando. You know, they still rep the team. They'll rep the city, I should say. I put rep in quotes. Or the Giants in New Jersey.
I guess the equivalent would be if they played in Washington and they moved to Baltimore. I guess that would be, to me, a more equivalent analogy.
Hey. And if some of the fans are feeling it, then they're not feeling it, so they're not supporting it. I didn't know it was in San Fran, though. I knew they had moved to a new arena. I didn't know it was that far. But, hey, they're whack anyway. I hate the Dubs. So, on that note, you got anything else? Who's a good one-on-one? We're on 101.
Yeah, 101
Cross
episodes.
101. Man, triple digits. That's what I'm talking about. That's when the real... Now, you know what? Let's go ahead and take us out. I was about to say something real dumb. On 101, I'm not going to do it. See, that's called restraint, guys.
Thank you for that restraint. And thank you, listeners, for joining us for another episode of the Stop Playing Podcast with Sham and Shaka. Again, please, if you're listening, thank you. And share it with your friend. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. You can visit us at www.stopplayingpodcast.com to find the other podcast platforms. You can see us on social media at Twitter at stop_playing_pod and on Facebook and IG at the Stop Playing Podcast, and also on YouTube at the Stop Playing Podcast YouTube channel. Like we always say, no double dipping unless it's the podcast. Keep your chips on the plate, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Stop playing.